Hello, encouragers. I'm Rebecca Scott, wife, mother of 4, author, and owner and designer of Rebecca Scott Designs. I'm here to encourage you, to make you feel the I can do this spirit each and every day of our awesome journeys to fulfill those many important roles. I believe we are fully equipped to execute, and I will provide you with as much knowledge and practices and systems as I can to help you understand just what I know you can do. Execute. We got this. Encouragers, on today's podcast, I get to say this time, a frequent guest on the podcast today, Rebecca Weiner, who is with Heal with Hypnosis, and I have personally seen her for therapy. My dad has. I would like to send everybody to see Rebecca. And today we want to talk about something called a limiting belief. And in our little pre-interview chat here, Rebecca and I, America is going through all these growing pains, and Rebecca used the word, we're waking up to things we didn't even know that we were limiting ourselves on, or prejudices, that sort of thing. So we're going to focus on growth for ourselves and limiting belief, and where do these come from? Like, what in our past possibly could be revealing itself now? And so we're just going to dig deep, and Rebecca is just the person to do that with, because she understands all of the psyche behind it and just the practical ways also of helping us become better humans. So welcome, Rebecca, to the podcast. Thank you.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here as always, and happy to be a frequent on the Encourager.
Yay, a frequent. Okay, so tell me a little bit, what is a limiting belief? What is your definition of a limiting belief?
A limiting belief is anything consciously or subconsciously that stops us from living our fullest loving life. Okay. Being in a state of love over fear. Love is a limitless emotion where we can go and do anything that feels good and right and natural to us. Mm-hmm. And fear is what is the root of any limiting belief, and that shuts us down. That shuts down our ability to share our gifts with the world, to create our business the way that we want to love the way that we want to parent the way that we want to be a part of the world and the earth the way that we want to.
Okay. I do remember you saying too, every decision we make is either out of fear or out of love.
Absolutely. And sometimes this is how sneaky and tricky limiting beliefs are. Okay. Sometimes we don't know we're operating from a limiting belief. We don't know that we're operating from fear, because limiting beliefs are often passed down from generation to generation, and we don't even know that they're a limit because it's just a traditional thought in our family.
Wow. So that's part of the subconscious part that you said. Like, some days we're aware of, like, this is a fear and I don't want to address it. Like, it's a conscious, I'm not going there. And sometimes we aren't even aware.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, so what are some common limiting beliefs that you see common for women in particular?
Okay, top 2 of all time. Ooh. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money.
Yeah, yes. Okay.
Massively limiting beliefs. Another limiting belief I hear from women all the time is I'm not smart enough.
Really?
Yes. I'm not smart enough to do this. I'm not worthy enough to do this. I don't have the skills to do this. If I just get one more certification, if I just do this one more thing, if I just make my website prettier, if I just get my kids off to school, if I just do this, if I just do any of these things, then I can become, do, be, have.
Oh. Make the Pinterest worthy cookie for the class party.
Yes, then you'll finally be a good mom, right?
Yep.
Even though the Pinterest fails are pretty fun too.
Yes. Okay, so how do we start unfolding that? Like, is there some steps that have to happen for us to recognize it, and then is it like a releasing of it or a snuggling it, or like, how does that look?
Well, fear is not the enemy.
Okay.
Limiting beliefs aren't the enemy. What we really need to do is really be in our awareness and learn to self-coach. to really, to notice our stuff, notice when we are in love or fear. That's like the first place where you can start. Just notice, and in this moment, am I acting from love or am I acting from fear? Am I shutting myself down? Am I sabotaging myself? Am I putting things off? Am I procrastinating? All those kind of things that you get to question there in the moment.
Yeah.
And so building that awareness helps us to be in this place of, hey, wait a second, that is a limiting belief. Then there are many ways around and through it, but usually a limiting belief means that we're out of alignment in some way in our lives. And we get to really fall in love with becoming aligned, learning the loving way through our limiting belief. I don't have enough time. Wait a second. Does this mean when I think I don't have enough time that I'm just not going to start anything? I'm not going to try? Does this mean that I'm not going to be in the fullest expression of myself because I think I don't have the quote unquote perfect amount of time to do the thing that I want to do, for example? So when we're in that place, we have to really be willing to say, okay, I'm shutting myself down right now. And when I shut myself down, it doesn't feel good. It makes my body tense. It makes my chest tight. It makes my throat tight. I get tension on my shoulders. I get headaches. There are physical responses to being out of alignment, just like when your spine is out of alignment and you need to go for an adjustment at the chiropractor. When your spirit is out of alignment, when you're operating from fear and your spirit is stifled, there are physical responses.
Which is what I learned so much in the therapy with you, is that every emotion will manifest itself somehow out of your body.
Yes.
And it taught me to be really aware of where the fear for myself comes from. And through coaching with you, realize like, okay, sometimes my fear is in my throat and sometimes it's in my chest and it feels really heavy. But I didn't think of that in terms of limiting beliefs. Those two, we will feel them somewhere and it's telling us something is out of the line.
Right. Something is not being spoken about our truth. And I use capital T truth. That is where your gifts are. That's where your talents are. That's where your mission, purpose, your passion, all of those big things that we're always looking for to drive and navigate with our lives. When those are not in their fullest expression, we will feel it and it won't feel good. Because when they are in the fullest expression, we're like, feeling that freedom and lightness. I kind of get the picture of the kid on the Titanic, like with the arms wide open, feeling the wind in her face, and the kid, the woman, you know who I'm talking about, right? So that light, open-hearted, open throat, open mind, that feeling of lightness and openness is when you know you are operating from a place of love. You know you are in alignment with your truth. It gets to be easy. We think things have to be so hard.
I'm the walking example of that all the time. I'm a 3 on the Enneagram, so achievement is like way up here. Like everything I do, I think you got to work hard on it. And so it takes a lot to coach me to be like, some things are easy. So dive into that a little bit. What should come easily to us? Or what am I trying to make too hard?
Everything, probably.
No, for sure.
So, for example, when we are placing a ton of pressure on ourselves to be something other than who we are,
okay,
that is hard. When we try to suppress our unique selves or our weirdness, like I used to try to suppress my weirdness because I had the weird name and the weird hair and the weird job. I used to try to suppress that and be like, I just want to be, I'll be the normal lady who does this weird thing. But my job is kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's unique. Yes. People don't really understand it. Mm-hmm. They think that I have control over their mind or that I can read their thoughts, and I can't do any of that. Sure. But when I suppressed my full expression, I was actually disconnecting from my truth and my intuition that helps me help my clients break through limits so quickly. When we suppress those things, we suppress our gifts. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when we're in suppression mode, things feel really hard.
Yeah. So what would be some signs for us to start recognizing, well, like you said, some of it would be it just feels really exhausting and it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
And do you think that's always do you remember thinking it was a conscious decision for you to say, okay, I've got a weird job, got a weird last name, I got weird hair, so I'm just going to try for this? Like, was some of that really conscious, like, okay, I know this, so I guess I'm trying to phrase, like, how can we more easily spot it coming on?
Those answers became conscious. They were in my subconscious because I had a weird last name and stuff. I just always kind of wanted to fit in. Okay. But we're not designed to fit in.
No.
Mm-mm. And we scroll and scroll looking for ways to relate and fit in, and we don't have to. Mm-hmm. So getting back to your question, how do we notice it? What we do, what I did, for example, was I tried things that weren't really comfortable for me.
Okay.
And when I tried them, and what I mean by that is they weren't like against my values.
No.
They were just stretching me a little bit.
Okay.
And then I had to think about, why is this uncomfortable for me? What does this demand of me to show up and do this the way that I want to do it, that I'm not letting myself be? And then it became more of a conscious thought. Hey, you were really trying to shut yourself down. And many, many symptoms of this are being in the same place every year in your business. Not growing the way that you want, putting off projects, not making the time to do, and I'm speaking about business, that's kind of like my heart. I work with women business leaders, but in your emotions, in your daily emotions, if I just do this one thing, I know I'll wake up on Monday and I'll start to feel better. So I'm not going to take the time to work on my emotions because I know that it's mind over matter and I can just do it and I can just push through. And tomorrow when I wake up, I just know it's going to be better. Sometimes we need a little help.
Yes.
Just to help us get on the right track again. Mm-hmm. Another example is my relationship. It's just not going the way that I want my relationship to be. I am feeling stifled in my relationship, or I feel like our emotions aren't meshing, or one of the parties is more controlled with their emotions than the other, and they're not having good communication, which is the core value of every good, strong relationship. Mm-hmm. And just thinking, I know it'll get better. Kind of being in love with the potential instead of the reality. Because we had it good once. We know it can be good, but it's not good, and it's been not good for a really long time. Those are some of the ways that we just naturally limit ourselves. Even with our spiritual journeys, we can say, well, I'm doing all the things I need to be doing. I'm praying, I'm reading the Bible, but underneath, sometimes it's not connecting. Right. Sometimes the spiritual practice that I'm trying is just, it's not connecting for me. Mm-hmm. And I start to have this little staticky thought, like maybe faith isn't really for me. Maybe spirituality really isn't for me, but I've got to do it because I want to be a good girl. Mm. Instead of asking questions that would help realign things, we just shut it down and like we're not worthy of speaking our truth and getting the answers we need.
Or we're fearful.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Fearful of the truth. Mm-hmm. But truth truth has been rising up for the past few years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And now the truth is out in full force.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
In many areas of our lives.
Yep.
What are our relationships really like? Spend 4 months indoors alone with your relationship. Now you know really the truth.
Yeah. I was going to say it's going to be it's going to be good business for therapists after this, because there's a lot of sorting out that we will need to do coming out of this as individuals and as relationships and as businesses. It's like, whoa, we have got a lot to sort through. And then, you're saying mind over matter. We almost always choose the matter because it's easier. We can just work harder rather than dealing with the mind, like what is really going on.
Right.
And I think there's 4 months in there where we really had to approach like, okay, this is not working. And for some, it like was totally working, and got through a couple months and went, I could really groove into this. I totally could. Not that I want our nation to ever go through anything like that again.
No.
But I did like the lack of hustle through it, and that I had longer to talk with my children about, oh my goodness, all kinds of things during our devotionals where it was like, we were doing a thing. We have 3 minutes to do this devotional, and then I got to get so-and-so to whatever. And so I didn't get time to break down like one of the concepts of spiritual growth. I'm like, well, I'll tell you about it in the car,
Right.
And I didn't have to do that during the season. And there was a lot of things I discovered in my children and myself and my marriage that I thought, oh, thank you for this gift of time. I would not have been able to dig into this as deep.
Yes. And for everyone experienced it differently. For some people, having extra time, having extra quiet time with themselves was very, very scary because they don't like the contents of their mind. Past traumas bubble up to the surface. A lot of people had flashbacks of past experiences that were very painful. Some people really thrive on being active because it keeps that stuff at a minimum. So some people were still fighting for having lots of activities to do, making things to do, because it doesn't feel good for them to be settled in one place, sitting, just being quiet. Right. Everybody really went through it differently, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. Guilty as charged. First thing I did was write a huge list of the home. And I accomplished it 2 months in. And I was like, uh-oh.
Nice.
Yes, but I did have a lot of quiet time also to really reflect on some stuff. But, that's totally guilty as charged. Yeah. So, Rebecca, you said, first, become aware of the limitation. Become aware of where it's in your body, where it is in your thought. What's the second thing to working through this limiting belief?
Really reframe it. If you can pay attention and really discover what the limiting belief is, you can shift it into a thought that opens up for you. What if instead of, I don't have enough time, I have plenty of time to do the things that really matter to me?
I always say in my coaching, when they say that, I said, I reverse it to, I am prioritizing whatever it is.
Right.
Just change from, I don't have enough time to, well, tell me what you are prioritizing.
Right. And if you feel like you use that statement, I don't have enough time for XYZ, maybe you just don't want to do XYZ. Maybe it was a should for a long time, but it's not really your passion. It's not really something that drives you. And you're allowed to say, hey, no, thank you.
Yeah.
That's not for me.
And I think you might come across this too in your coaching so many times. It's just me giving them permission to say, you don't have to do that.
Right.
Just needed someone outside of their brain and their husband and maybe it's their in-laws or whatever, friends, to say, no, wait, no, you don't have to. That's maybe good enough.
Right. And sometimes it's your husband, your friends, your family who's telling you should do something. And it's a little tougher to rock all the boats of all those people, right? To say, nope, this doesn't feel good to me. This doesn't feel right to me. This isn't my passion. I have to say no. But when you do that first time and you speak your truth, you start retraining people how to treat you.
So good. So good.
Yeah.
Do it in the small matters now, everybody. So then when the big ones come, they aren't as painful either. They're like, well, she definitely lives her own way.
Yes, absolutely.
So we become aware, then we frame it, and we make one decision. How would I say that, Rebecca? Then you frame it, and then you make a decision to do the opposite, or to, I'm sure you wouldn't say opposite. What would you say?
You don't even have to make a decision.
Okay.
Just explore what's possible.
Okay.
Because a limiting belief has a cap on it. The situation has a lid. But when you take the lid off, you get to explore, hey, I do have the same amount of time everyone else does. I don't need to compare my situation to anyone else, but I just need to be aware that if I want to achieve things, I have the time to prioritize those things. Mm-hmm. If I want to say no to things, I get to stand in my truth and say that's not right for me. Mm-hmm. I don't have to use, I don't have enough time as a little victim statement to get out of stuff.
Oh, wow. Do you think it's a victim statement?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And it's an excuse.
Yeah, I do believe that.
And victim is not, I don't want victim to be like, oh, this gross spot where I am. I want it to be a place of awareness.
Okay.
Victim to my life, victim to my circumstances, mm-hmm. victim to my own limits. Mm-hmm. And I get to choose to step into being responsible for my choices. Yes. And when we're responsible, when we're in the responsible place, mm-hmm. we get more control. When we're in victim, we're a victim of our circumstances. We're a victim of our schedule. We've done too much. We're in busy mode. Yes. I kind of repel busy in the hustle and all of that now. And being in responsible mode says, hey, I get to choose. And I can't blame anything else for what my decisions are. So if I say no, it's not because I don't have enough time. I say no because I don't want to prioritize that. And that is my truth. And that gives me goosebumps right now.
Yep.
Because we need to be able to speak yes or no. And we don't always have to explain why. In fact,
I say
you don't have to ever.
I love that you said responsible mode, because I think in my mind, this is what I picture our phone and the toggle thing. Like, I'm going to toggle to responsible mode. And one of my pet peeves, so maybe you can break this down for me, is when people say to me, oh, okay, you said, I don't have enough time. It's not that one. Well, it depends. I'm like, what? That's such a cop-out. No, it doesn't. What do you want? It doesn't have to depend. What do you want? What do you want to prioritize? Let's do that.
It depends on whether or not you feel like speaking your truth.
Oh, yes.
If I invited someone to do something with me and it was like, I don't know if we'll be able to make it that weekend. I don't know, blah, blah, blah. If you feel like you just want to stay home and not put a bra on and not go out, you tell me that, I'm going to be like, okay, we'll do it when it feels right. Or maybe you're just not that into me. That's okay too. Like, we can be honest with each other. Why do we have to assume that honesty will hurt? Mm. And why do we have to assume that saying no to something is going to be painful for all parties?
Mm-hmm. Well, in the large idea of things too is what I try to say is, if you feel like the no is just going to drop this big bomb and you're just going to disappoint everybody, how do you not know that by you saying no, someone else just got their prayer request answered? They get to step in and fulfill that role, whatever it is. But they couldn't burst through until you opened up to let them.
Yes. That's absolutely possible in those situations.
Because that's when I feel it in my chest. My chest will get real heavy. And I'm like, oh, okay, so I try to picture, and I might have gotten this from you too. I try to picture my palm open. Yes, I think I might be doing this, so I'm open. And then I'm like, wow, something is trying to bust through and can't. until I just let go and find out what's just going to happen. I'm still responsible for my own decisions and my own reactions and my own roles, but what am I trying to not let get out here? It might just be another awesome woman who's trying to move in to do what her truth is. And I'm just doing it because I'm trying to please somebody.
Right. And maybe the awesome woman is you.
Yeah. Oh.
Trying to have her breakthrough. Because when let that settle in for a second, right?
That's going to take a lot. Oh right. Interesting. So it could be ourselves. That's like, excuse me, we're trying to be bigger and you're not letting me.
Yes. We need to continue to realign with our truth. And sometimes the thing that was a no 2 weeks ago is a yes now. And sometimes it's the opposite, right?
Yeah.
And when we're trying too hard to please everybody, we're taking responsibility for other people's beliefs. It's like having a deck of cards at the beginning of the day that is the sum total of all your happiness and dealing them out to everybody else and hoping that you'll get them back. People pleasing puts us at the bottom of our own list. And what happens when we're at the bottom of our own list is that we're not speaking our truth. We're not aligned with what our spirit needs and wants to share. We're not opening up to receiving our own growth. We're not opening up to the magic of our own path. And certainly then, and most often I would say, not fully sharing our gifts. If you want it to be about giving, because it doesn't have to be, by the way, it can only be about receiving. If you want to bring it all back to being about giving, we're not sharing our gifts when we're limiting ourselves. When we're not speaking our truth, we're not developing that full expression of all of our gifts.
Gosh, that's another podcast right there. It's all about receiving.
Yes.
And you know what I think is funny is though, during the seasons that I do a ton of giveaways in RSD, it's like my favorite thing. I love to watch their faces light up. And I went through this one day where the day before we had done, it's called the Image Bearer Project on my website. And we bless a woman every quarter and we serve as an image bearer of Christ. And then they serve as the image bearer of Christ and what they have received. So we just got done gifting this huge. And I went through the Scooters drive-through. And the gal in front of me, or guy, I don't know, paid for my drink. I'm like, what? Awesome. Then I went to get groceries and they had this free thing. And they're like, you have a bunch of kids. I've seen them in here. Why don't you just take this? This birthday party got canceled. I'm like, what? So like, receiving. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just pouring back. It was amazing.
Yes. We get tricked in our mind about receiving, and that is a limiting belief as well. We think of the abundance of our lives as sometimes we'll even categorize it like it's a piece of pie. So if I take a bigger piece, somebody else has to take a smaller piece.
Okay.
But our abundance, love, joy, health, wealth, money, it is limitless. We're not taking a piece of pie. It's all the infinity sign. Go back to your math teacher and say, I finally figured out really what the infinity sign means. It means that it's not a part of the pie. There is no pie. It's just a limitless flow.
So I love the practicality of this. Instead of picturing the pie, we're going to picture the infinity sign.
Yes.
I have an affirmation that says, I can't remember the first word of it, but it's avalanches of abundance. I'm like, that is the coolest phrase ever.
Right.
You know, like you picture the avalanche of abundance that God is wishing upon you, this avalanche of abundance. And so I picture myself at the bottom of the hill, like sprawled out, like, okay, I'm going to take it all in. It's like a visual for me of let's do this.
Right. Well, that infinity sign, that limitlessness is the opposite of limiting belief. And I'm going to share with you one that I used to have. It was that I was just meant to give and 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 be grateful, 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 grateful for everything I received. I was only working half of that sign. And then I realized that I could ask for what I want and it could come to me and I could be grateful and I could give because I was living in a state of abundance. I wasn't giving to overgive to prove my worthiness. I was worthy of receiving. Oh, I have goosebumps. I feel like somebody needed to hear that. Like the giving was the joy from being filled up from all the receiving. And it just went back and forth because I wasn't pouring from an empty vessel. I wasn't giving from something that was bone dry, trying to like shake out the last few little drops. I get to be filled up with the things that I want and need and desire. And I get to receive them and feel grateful for them. And then I get to love and share and give the way that I want to and still remain full because it's all limitless supply.
Like the olive oil jar story in the Bible where he just keeps it full and she's making the bread.
Yep.
Just keep giving.
Yep.
And receiving. Oh my gosh. So this is the thing, everybody. When I go to record a podcast with Rebecca, I'm like 2 bullet points max. I can guarantee you, Rebecca, we will go and explore awesome things that she's just listening. And, as she's talking, she says, she's so spirit filled. So she gets goosebumps. And I just know that this will just be so well received for you guys, especially during this season. I refuse to call it the virus, Rebecca, because I'm like, I'm not putting any more energy towards that word. I just call it a season. Here we are it's a funky one, but it's a season. Yeah. And so I just thank you so much for helping us to define it for ourselves. And now we will start to become more aware. We're going to frame it and explore it. Yes. We're going to picture the infinity sign instead of the pie. I'm going to have to re-listen to this several times because I think there's some truth bombs in there for myself. I'm like, wait, am I over-giving just to, so I got to listen to that part again. Sure. And then, thank you for sharing your own limiting belief as well.
Absolutely. And I've worked through many. And what we do, we fall in love with realigning. So as we grow and we change, there's going to be a moment where a limiting belief like the one that we've had will pop up. Hey, am I using that limiting belief at this level where I am? Okay. And then we work through that. We just continue to realign and realign and realign. That is our growth. Mm-hmm. So we don't work through a limiting belief expecting that we'll never have another one. Okay. We work through the limiting belief because of the joy we get from the growth.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
Mm-hmm. Which is a limiting belief that many people have is that growth and healing is painful. Oh. And that it has to be painful. Like we have to rip the scar, rip the Band-Aid off and deal with the scars and all of that stuff. And there's pain in healing. Like you probably heard as a little kid, if your cut was itchy a little bit, then that meant it was healing, right? So, okay. But the truth is healing can be a really beautiful state. It sometimes takes a little extra effort. Mm-hmm. But the work of staying in one place is painful work. That is the limits of staying in the same place can become very, very painful. And there is nothing wrong with contentment. Nothing. Let's just put a little asterisk out there. If you feel contentment in your life, that's a beautiful, beautiful thing too. But if you are a visionary and you see solutions before problems are identified and you have this drive to want more and more and more, and you are somehow telling yourself that you should just be grateful for what you have and not want more, then you're shutting down your truth as a visionary. And the world needs visionaries. Women particularly are very strong visionaries. We make change and innovate, and we cause growth. Yeah. I mean, we birth babies. We are creators. So if you have ever felt that feeling like, I just need to be grateful for what I have, please don't shut down your visionary self. Allow that to come out. But let gratitude be the bridge where you feel the joy in the fact that you have more ideas and you're grateful for the mind as it was given to you because you get to grow and learn and shift and change along with it.
I love all the bridges that are being built right now and all the innovation with us having to switch gears in our families and our jobs because of the season. And I'm like, whoa, when we cross this bridge, it's going to be pretty darn exciting.
We are crossing it.
Yes. Yes.
Being crossed, it is being built as we are crossing it.
Yes. And it's so fun to see how huge industries are going to change and hearts are going to change and openness and it's good and it's going to be great. Yes.
Yeah. It's pretty, every day is pretty special.
Oh gosh. Okay. Everybody re-listen several times. Rebecca, how do we get some awesome coaching from you? How do we recognize and become aware enough? And I would say you become aware yourself and you can read all you want and you can listen all you want. And I highly encourage those things, but there is something very, very profound about finding a coach and a healer that will help you to recognize it even when you're in denial yourself. And so I highly recommend that. So Rebecca, how would they go about doing that?
You can reach out to me through healwithhypnosis.com. That is one of the main places people reach out to me. You can find me on Facebook if you want to, Rebecca Weiner McGregor. You can download some of the resources that I have available at Wealthy Women Resources or yourextraordinarywealth.com. You can find different things there. Just feel free to connect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love personal conversations. 95% of my job is one-on-one conversations. I love it. So.
And she's just the gal you guys have been thinking about and dreaming about. And like she said in the middle there, somebody needs to hear that. So if that happens to you, please reach out and get the awesome help and growth that we need. So you can become the next huge visionary. So good.
If it's not me, someone. Please find someone. Absolutely. Do not be afraid to invest in yourself. Mm-hmm. I have invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in my personal growth, and it has never let me down.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Never let me down. Even if I worked with a coach, one time I worked with a coach who turned out to not be a great fit. She was someone I thought I should work with instead of really being aligned with her mission. And even that caused me to grow and understand and find my own truth. It was well worth what I spent and the time that I spent in that. So if not me, find someone. We all really need support, especially visionary women and women leaders who are leading so many people. You need someone who will listen to you and have your back and be that open, honest person who will say, hey, you're awesome and you're limiting yourself right now. And you get to do more and be more for yourself.
I love it. Until next time, encouragers, we got this.
I know how you can start executing on all the things that God has equipped you to do. You can pick up my book at theencouragerpodcast.com and check out the store complete with book, journal, and the master course. Also, make sure to check out the resources tab where you'll get a hold of all the PDFs from the podcast. Thank you for tuning in, encouragers. Remember to subscribe so it's automatically on your phone. And please rate and review me. We got this, encouragers.